Hello and welcome back to the channel. I apologize for the hair. This is as good as it's gonna get. I call this hairstyle the hair that cannot be tamed. I put in 700,000 ounces of product. It doesn't listen. Irrelevant to what we're talking about today, but just thought I would mention it. Anyways, so I think I have several video topics, so you might see this hairstyle more than once. I think today, let's start with talking about analyzing Attack on Titan characters. So, oh boy. Okay, so Attack on Titan's coming out in is there a date? I think it's January 2022 is when the new Attack on Titan comes out. And yes, I am a Sagittarius. Can you tell? So I thought, since Attack on Titan is coming out, we should do some fun Attack on Titan things. I am going to analyze some of the characters. And there will be spoilers, but so we will, I think today I want to analyze Mikasa, Eren, Levi, maybe one other person, but those are the three main ones. Mikasa I find very interesting because she's extremely competent, and more competent honestly than pretty much anyone in the show except for maybe Levi. And her and Levi, by the way, are my two favorite characters in the show. So loyal to Eren, and I get that there might be a supernatural, again, major spoilers for, all everything that's been out in the anime. But she's very loyal to Eren. But I don't think it's only supernatural. I don't know. I think it's also the trauma she went through, or at least it seems like to me. I think it just being a supernatural reason actually takes away from the her and Eren's relationship. Is very loyal to Eren. And it honestly makes me think, well, I guess technically in the beginning she even says she wouldn't have joined the cadets if Eren wasn't joining. So I find that very interesting that, she has what I would say is probably a codependent relationship with Eren. And I think what happened is obviously she was super young. Her parents died when she was literally a child. And so understandably, she needed someone to latch onto. I think she was close with Eren's mom, but then Eren's mom died. And Eren's dad kind of seemed not that attentive of a father. Even I know that their life seemed more normal at the beginning of the show, but he seemed like he was away for work a lot, or he was in his lab. So I don't know. He seemed supportive, but So, I think, I don't know, it's interesting. And then I think back to the guy who talked to Grisha. And there was that weird vision at the end of season 3 where Grisha was told about Mikasa and Armin, and then I'm did he even bring Mikasa in for the reason we think? Was he even there for the reason we think? Or was there something else going on because he was told in this vision? Or was Eren just told this and it's just jumbled? I don't know, it's confusing. Anyways, so Mikasa, I feel kind of develops this codependent, reliant relationship on Eren. Well, even though she is so independent and in terms of physically and being able to defend herself, maybe not, but then psychologically and emotionally, she may not be, well, she isn't, I would say, as independent. She's she needs Eren basically for everything, it feels like. And I think Eren resents that. Or at least it seems like that as the seasons have gone on. Now, there could be, again, other supernatural reasons. I don't really know. It's, the end of season 4 and the end of season 3. Well, season 4 part 1. I don't know if there's been some personality change with Eren or something. But it seems like he's grown resentful no matter what the case may be. So I think Mikasa, really needed a consistent support system from someone. And I think she just didn't get that at a really important time. I don't know how many years or months it had been since her parents had died and she had been saved. It might have said, and I don't remember. But I don't think it was long enough for her to have a stable-ish environment, and then it was, the rug was thrown out from underneath her again. So yeah, Mikasa to me is I sympathize with her a lot. I think she's been through a lot, and she's a total badass, but she doesn't it's like she doesn't know. I know she knows, I don't know. And even she's codependent to the point where basically she was willing to commit suicide for Eren in season 1, you know what I mean? Or season 2, I forget. But when Eren, we think he's dead, she basically is okay, it's really cool. She leads, the whole group. But then, she still really, and she says this, she basically was giving her life away because she didn't want to live in a world without Eren. Which is sweet, but also very codependent and sad. So, I don't know, it's mixed feelings. I mean, she's clearly in love with Eren, if nothing else, I think. But, yeah, to me, she's a very sympathetic and interesting character. Even if, in the show, it's a lot of her just saving Eren, and we see her being very consistently loyal to him. I think it's because that's what she's always wanted. She wants someone to do that for her, I think. And I hope maybe Mikasa finds it in part 2. I don't want it to be sad. I want her to have a happy ending. So we'll find out. So there's Mikasa's analysis. Let's go on to Eren. Eren, I feel is trying to prove himself. That's his MO. From the beginning, he wants to prove himself. And he also, I think, has this need to explore and this need to see the world and get out. He gets antsy. He doesn't want to be cooped up in the wall, and I think he values freedom over anything else, So at least in seasons 1 and 2 and 3, 1 through 3, I think he values freedom. Season 4 is different because I think if he valued freedom the most, or at least season 4 part 1, well, I guess it could be argued he still values it, but I think if he valued it more than anything, at least his personal freedom, he would probably just go live somewhere on an island and, drink tropical drinks and whatever. I guess, though, you could say if he values freedom of everyone the most, which I think he also really seems to value, that is he wants everyone to be free, and he has a very twisted view of what that means at this point, potentially. That would also make sense. So yeah, I think over anything he values freedom, probably, or what he thinks is freedom, the idea of it, more than anything. He might even value it more than truth. If we look at Erwin, I think he valued truth and knowledge more than anything. But Eren, I think, values freedom more than anything. And I don't think I don't know, he cares about his friends, but he doesn't really, I don't know, maybe I'm clouded by season 4 part 1, but it seems like he doesn't value his friends as much as he values. Also, we have to talk about him getting revenge, right? He values revenge, and I'm curious if part of the reason he's acting so strange or acting so horribly to the people on the island is because he hates the Titans. So it's almost like he's been brainwashed. Maybe not brainwashed, he's sort of like had this value himself, this idea that all Titans are bad no matter what. So then when he finds out that everyone on Parody Island technically can be turned into a Titan, or they're like the originators of the Titans, perhaps he hates them in himself, even if they're not technically Titans, they're humans. And maybe that's why he gets these weird, sort of horrible, very horrible, kind of extermination ideas, It's interesting to me too how he doesn't seem to want to follow, at least from, again, season 4, part 1, follow his dad's values. Like, we know Zeke doesn't, and Zeke makes sense because he, like, literally, his dad was not great to him. His dad was not there for him. He wanted him to be someone he wasn't. He forced these values and ideals on a kid who, couldn't understand these issues yet. And I think that would make any kid resentful, honestly. Like, I understand why Zeke was the way he was as a child. It was messed up, 100,000,000%. But he's in this society that is telling him and brainwashing him that, his parents are the bad guys, right? And then, his parents put him in this position where he's sort of like in the middle, which is never a good place to be for a kid. I guess we're talking about Zeke too for a bit. So I do feel for Zeke's child character. I don't really like him as an adult. I think he kind of sucks. But as a kid, I feel for him. But anyways, it's interesting because Zeke makes sense to me, but Eren not wanting to follow sort of his father's vision or dream makes less sense to me. I mean, I guess his father did make him literally eat him, which is like messed up and traumatic. But it is still very surprising. So I don't know if maybe he saw some founding Titans memories we haven't uncovered yet, and that's why he is valuing things like Zeke, or what the deal is, but it's definitely odd to me. Or I can't figure out the psychology behind it yet. But that's why I love the show. So, and then we still have Levi. Levi's interesting. He's probably, like, again, my favorite character other than Mikasa. He basically grows up with no real parents. I mean, he has his uncle, but his uncle is not emotionally there for him. So I feel like Levi's cool because as neglected emotionally as he was and physically, he really cares about the people he's with. And I think it's very brave of his character to continually care about the people that come into the cadet corps with him, because he knows he's probably going to lose them. So, I think a part of him wants to not care, but it's like he can't resist caring, which is why sometimes he acts cold. But on the inside, I feel like he's a softie. So, yeah. Would Levi have issues in relationships after this? Probably. But I think he's like a good commander and just a great, interesting character. I think, I don't know, I hope he doesn't die in season 4 part 2. His psychology though is, I guess, is less complicated in a way, because he seems like, with all the neglect he faced, he might have some avoidant attachment issues, which means he might not be great at, like, staying in consistent relationships. He might have the tendency to want to run away from relationships. But I think he's quite, I don't know if I want to use the word stable, but he's kind of stable for how much he's been through, honestly. So unless there's stuff we haven't seen yet, which I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, with how much he's been through, I would have expected him to be a million times more, well, he's not really unstable at all. I expect him to be very unstable. So that's Levi for you. I think those are all I want to talk about today. Ooh, no. Let's talk about Reiner. Reiner's an interesting one. So I think Reiner is trying to prove himself to his father to this day. I think the reason we know the reason Reiner really joined the group of, soldiers and wanted to do all of these things was so he could have a family, right? And his mom sort of implied that would happen, which, I mean, it's rough being in that kind of society. It's a horrible society. And so, maybe she was using delusion to try to get through it. But yeah, I think he is trying to prove himself to his father from the very first episode to the very last episode. I think even though his father rejected him, I think unconsciously or even consciously, that's what he wants more than anything is, to kill all those, horrible Titans or, not Marleyans, parody people. Which is sad. I think this show is fascinating because it's interesting to see how people can be brainwashed to not only do horrible things, but do horrible things, against themselves, or against their own people, maybe the better word. But let's say, even though Reiner, he has the highest status that he could possibly get in this society, this genocidal, weird, preferential treatment to certain races society. And, I think that, I need another sip of my tea. It's interesting. He's brainwashed to the point where he doesn't think this is wrong. I should use my status to help change this or something. Or I should go to parody and tell them what's going on. He instead is so brainwashed and he wants to, prove himself to his father so much also that he goes, no, those people, even though he's one of these people, those people are devils and they're horrible. And Gabby's involved in this too. Of course, she's very brainwashed. Whereas I think some characters are just trying to get by in this society. People like Reiner are 100%, I think, invested. And the interesting thing is he has the potential to be a good person. Do you know what I mean? He cares about the kids in his soldier troop group, whatever. He cares about his mom. He wants to be a good member of society. But I think the problem is when a society is sick, it makes the people around the society sick. And I think that's why psychology is so important, and I think everyone should take a class in psychology, because I think it's too easy for people to follow the group, right? We all want to be loved and accepted. Well, most people, I think. We all want to fit in with maybe a certain group we're impressed with, or the greater society. That's a want I think that humans have. What maybe you say, okay, well, I don't need to fit in with the greater society, but I want to fit in with my local community or a certain group of friends. So I'm included. Attack on Titan in general is just a great study on groupthink, which is where you want to be a part of the group. When you're in a group, you tend to want to follow what the group is doing. It can be very hard to, think for yourself, and not just think for yourself, but also do something against the group. It's in our human nature to want to follow the group, and that can be a huge issue if you have the wrong leader or the wrong sort of idea prominent in society. Like in Marley, they believe that all of these people who are innocent are devils. And everyone has just accepted this and decided it's okay. And the problem is everyone wants to fit in with everyone else. So no one's saying, even though I'm sure some people, you know, say this, and there's people like Grisha, but for the most part, you know, people aren't saying it, and people like Grisha get severely punished. I mean, they get turned into titans. I don't think you can have a much worse fate than that. So yeah, it's a very interesting show, and it has some very heavy psychology elements, but I think that's what makes it so cool. Is it's not just a really entertaining show, which it is, and very suspenseful and, you know, shocking. It has that shock value, but I think it really shows some of the negative sides of human nature and human psychology. And the good thing about watching that is you can recognize it. So if it happens in real life, you can say, this is wrong, right? And prevent those things from happening. So, anyways, I got myself all worked up. But I guess that was more than a character analysis, so I'll probably have to call this my psychology analysis of Attack on Titan. But there you go. That's a little brief analysis for you before part 2. And I will be anxiously awaiting part 2 in January. So it was fun to get to talk to you guys about it for a while. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.